All right, folks, let's get started with question 6, one of the most fundamental to all historians, and that is argumentation. Okay, so let's take a look at what it means and how we go about actually arguing something. So here's our goal for today is learn how to construct a historical argument based on evidence. And where will we use this skill? This is basically throughout history, right? It's directly tied to the ability to evaluate evidence and its purpose. It's really the purpose of all historical writing. We're making arguments in order to persuade people that our interpretation of the past is correct. Since it's so fundamental, you use this skill in every part of an AP test. Multiple choice questions are often built around your ability to figure out how evidence relates to an argument. If you cannot find the argument, that becomes really tough. In short answer questions, you'll sometimes be asked to create an argument, especially in non-source-based questions. And as you'd assume, every long essay question and every document-based question is built around an argument you create. So, what are the steps to creating a good argument? Let's break them down. There are really 4 steps to creating a solid historical argument. You'll notice that the first 2 relate to evidence, while the last 2 help construct your thesis. I recommend working in this order because all historical arguments are built on evidence. If you try to write your thesis first, you may discover that you don't have the evidence to support it. So step 1 is to accumulate evidence to support an argument. I find it useful to split your evidence into categories of support and refute. What evidence do you have to support the question's assertion? What evidence do you have that goes against it? I also find it useful to break the evidence into political, economic, or social themes. Step 2 is to decide which evidence is most compelling. What evidence did you find that would most convince others that the assertion is correct or incorrect, or both correct and incorrect? What evidence is the least compelling and therefore should be de-emphasized in your essay? Step 3 is to pick a side and either agree or disagree with the question's assertion. This is the easiest way to write an essay. One thing we'll learn, however, is that history never offers simple answers. That means we may agree with parts of an assertion and disagree with others, which is okay. It just means we have to create a more nuanced argument, and that takes practice. Step 4 is to pre-write your thesis statement. This means you're creating a draft of your thesis. And as you write the body of your essay, you may need to modify your argument, which is totally a natural part of the process. So don't feel like you've done something wrong if you have to go back and make changes. So let's practice this a bit more. So here's our assertion. Thomas Jefferson maintained a strict interpretation of the Constitution. I know you haven't read about this topic yet, so don't worry about that. We're just looking at the different steps. Your question that you're going to answer on this assignment will be about something you've actually learned about. So here we're trying to judge if Thomas Jefferson maintained a strict interpretation of the Constitution. Step 1 is to accumulate evidence on both sides of the assertion, supporting it and refuting it. To support it, I could use the following evidence, right? He promotes a strict interpretation, opposes the bank as political grandstanding. He opposes Washington's neutrality proclamation. All of that's political. He opposes the creation of a bank on economic grounds, right? In terms of refuting, right? He supports the purchase of Louisiana Purchase despite the lack of constitutional clarity. Politically, economically, he keeps Hamilton's economic plan in place. And all sorts of those things. Okay, so my next step is to pick a side. So I'm going to refute this, and then I'm going to pre-write a thesis, right? So here I've done all of that. I've picked the refute side, and I've written a thesis that explains how my evidence supports the claim that Jefferson did not maintain a strict interpretation of the Constitution. So now it's your turn to practice. Again, this is a fundamental skill that we're going to work on throughout the year. So you'll have lots of chances to practice, with this one being just the first attempt. Okay, I'm excited. We'll go from there.